Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita study circle. We have Hina Mataji. We also have Dev joining us on StreamYard and also Lakshmi Mataji on YouTube. So, thank you so much for joining. So, let us, as usual, begin our prayers and then start the session. So, we are in the 157th session of the Bhagavad Gita study circle. And we have been discussing chapter number 15, the Purushottama Yoga, right? So let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON and my beloved spiritual master. So kindly join your palms and let's begin with the pranam mantras. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back once again. So in the previous session we discussed until verse number 9. So here Shrotram Chakshu Sparshanam Cha Rasanam Grahanam Evacha Adhisthaya Manaschayam Vishayan Upasevate. So the living entity thus taking another gross body obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. We understood that how. So there is a the six senses are carried by the soul from one body to another, and it is just like unpacking and packing of the home when we are shifting from one place to another place. Yeah, actually, we covered until verse number 11 last time. So we also understood the Utkramantam Sitam Vapi Bunjanam Va Gunanvitam Vimudha Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha. So the foolish people actually cannot understand how the body changes are happening and how the soul actually moves from one place to another because they're all in the mode of ignorance. But those who have the eyes which are trained by knowledge, then all these people, the transcendentalists, can actually see how the soul carries all these senses, indriyas, from one body to another body. And in the 11th verse, we understood Yadanto yoginas chainam pashyanti atmani avastitam Yadanto pi akratatmanoho nainam pashyanti achetasaha. So these people who are akratatmano and who are achetasaha, those people have no realization or they do not have the developed realization, understanding about what is the soul, right? But there are some people who are trying to understand the consciousness, but they fail to do because they really have no right direction, right? So that's why in the previous session we understood that if you have to become successful in anything, you need the right direction is required, the right purpose is required, the right attitude is required, and the right amount of effort is required. Only then we will be able to actually get success in our life. Otherwise, it is not possible. So, with this, let us begin with the verse today. Let us see how many verses we can cover. So, verse number 12. So, Hinamataji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the 12th verse. Yad Adityagatam Tejo
यत् आदित्यगतं तेजो
Jagat Bhasayate Khilam
Jagat bhasayate
यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ
Chandramasi yakchaknao
तेजो विद्धि मामकम्.
tattejo vidhi mamakam.
Well, please read the translation.
The splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Hare Krishna.
Yes, so see how this chapter is actually moving from one topic to another topic. Now, in the very first few verses of this chapter, until verse number 6, I think that's how Claude actually explains about the samsara vriksha, and then gradually it speaks about how we need to untangle ourselves from this samsara vriksha. And in the previous verses, we also saw that how Mamaivamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The Lord said that all these living entities are my Amsha, right? Aham Bija Pradapita. So, all of us, we are actually the part and parcels of Krishna. So, he said that Jivas are also belonging to me until verse number 11. Now, verse number 12, he is going to explain that how not just the living entities, but also that matter that we see in this world, all the material things that we see in this world, also belongs to me, not just the living entities. So, in verse number 12, he's saying that the splendor of the sun is a material thing, but Krishna says, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me. So this is very, very important. Yad aditya gatam tejo. So, what is the sun? You see the splendor of the sun. Just in summer, we saw so many people died because of the sunstroke, right? Because there was so much of that glare, the sun glare. So people actually could not tolerate the heat, and because of the heat wave, people actually suffered so much, especially in the North India. So you can imagine the splendor of that sun. It is so massive. If you Google, you will understand that sun is so huge that you can accommodate 13 lakh Earth planets in the sun. 13 lakh. It is 13 lakh times more bigger than our Earth. That is the size of the sun. So huge it is, so massive. Recently, in the group, also had shared that video of one of our politicians, that how he was also talking about the scientific aspects of the sun and Earth and all of that, right? So you can imagine the size of that sun, which is 13 lakh bigger, and that is supplying so much of heat and light that the whole world is illuminated by this sun, isn't it? The whole existence of life on this planet is because of the sun. Without sun, nothing can be done. It will become a dark place. But you see how the sun is maintaining everything on this planet. Sun is extremely powerful. Just the amount of energy the sun emits in 1 second can keep the earth fully lit for many, many, many decades. That is what the scientists say. Because that much amount of energy is released from the sun in just 1 second. So you can imagine the kind of energy. But now what Krishna is saying, the sun may be powerful, but the sun's splendor comes from me. Yad aditya gatam tejo, that teja, jagat bhasayate khilam. The sun may be actually illuminating the whole world, but sun itself is getting illuminated from me. That is the power of Krishna. You can imagine how powerful Krishna is, that he is supplying energy even to the sun. That is how it is. He's extremely powerful. So he's not ordinary. Krishna is not ordinary. So is he just talking about the sun? No, he's not just talking about the sun. He's saying yet chandramasi, yet chagno. Now, even the moonlight also, which is emitting this moonlight in the night, which is actually nourishing everything in the night time, all the plants and the trees, they get nourished because of the moonlight in the night time. That nourishment also comes from me. The moonlight, the moon is able to give that splendor because it actually is reflecting my splendor. Krishna is saying, Tat tejo vidhi mamakam. See, tat tejo vidhi mamakam chagnav. See, yat chandramasi, that is the chandrama, the splendor of the chandrama. Yat chagnav agnav. Also, Agni also has fire and heat. The little flame that we see in the candlelight also has that heat and light. That heat and light also is coming because of me. Krishna is saying that how this is so very important. See, Prabhupada also explains in the translation the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me. So Krishna is actually a very, very splendorous person, we can see. He is so much effulgent that his effulgence is actually illuminating the whole material world. Whatever light that we see, the sunlight, the moonlight, or the light of the fire, that fire is actually coming from the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, without the Lord, there is no illumination. So, what basically Krishna is saying here, in the previous section, he said the Jivatma belongs to me. Here he's saying the material world also belongs to me. Dave, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. So, in the 13th verse, Krishna is saying something very important. So, let us see what he says. Gam avishya cha bhutani
गाम् आविश्य च भूतानि
dharayami aham mojasa
धारयामि अहम् ओजसा
pushnami chaushadhihi sarvaha
पुष्णामि चौषधीः सर्वः
somo bhutva rasatmakaha.
सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Hare Krishna.
See, so beautifully, Krishna. He's just reinforcing that idea that we shared just a while ago. So, here Krishna is saying that I enter each planet and by my energy they stay in the orbit. So, this is very crucial. Now, staying in the orbit is not so easy. Now, when a scientist also, when they actually leave a satellite in the space, now constantly 24 bar 7, there is monitoring that happens. They actually check the speed, the velocity, the orientation, the heat dissipation of the satellite, and it also they constantly keep checking the whether the orbit path is correctly followed or not. So many things are there, so many parameters and variables are there for the scientist to check for one little scientist, for a little satellite. Right? No, no, if a satellite of this small size has a control room and then it has so many scientists working on it. Now just imagine where is the control room for this whole solar system? Where is the control room for our planet Earth? Correct? There should be a control room and there should be an intelligence who is actually maintaining all of this in a right proportion and right way. So Krishna is saying, I'm the one who is actually maintaining all of this. Now, if the planet Earth moves a few inches closer to the Earth, to the sun, it will burn into ashes. That's what the scientists say. And if it actually moves a little away, then there is a possibility that actually it can freeze to death. So that is a position. The Earth is constantly maintaining its orbit path. Not just the orbit path, the perfect rotation, which is called samvatsara, and also the perfect rotation of the planet. It is so very important that the Earth planet continuously is moving in right directions. 23 hours, 56 minutes, 9 seconds makes one day, and that is followed every single day, you see, without any lapse. If there is a lapse, we are all gone. So, can you imagine for how many eons this Earth planet is just moving like this perfectly? Not just that, a decade or two decade or centuries. Continuously, the planets are moving in this orbits perfectly. Krishna is saying, I am the one who is supporting all of that. And not just that, he says, I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. Without the rasa of life, we will not have any taste in the vegetables. So we eat all the different vegetable, but the taste that we get, the rasa that we get, the juice that we get is because of Krishna. So next time when you eat any leafy vegetables or any vegetables for that matter, remember Krishna. Oh yes, this is the taste of Krishna. See? And when actually we don't even feel that we are moving on the planet. When you are moving in a car, at 90 or 100 or 110, the car starts vibrating because of the high speed, right? But the earth is moving at 106,000 kilometers per hour speed. That is the speed that earth is moving. But do we feel any of the vibration? See the aerodynamic design of this earth planet, that we don't feel that we are moving or rotating. We feel that we are just constantly without any motion. We don't feel that motion. So what kind of a design this is? So amazing design this is. Right? So this appreciation should be there. If that is not there, if these are not balanced, then the law of gravity may completely change and we may actually just fly in the air. See how everything is so perfectly managed because of all this perfect rotation, revolution, the gravity is maintained, and because of the gravity is maintained, we are able to walk on the floor properly. If all these things mess up, then we'll be flying with no control. So it's so important. So we should thank Krishna that yes, I'm able to walk on this planet also because of your mercy, oh my Lord. Otherwise, not possible. So very, very beautiful. Right? So let's go to the next verse number 14. Ina Mataji, you can unmute yourself. This is also interesting. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva
अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा
Praninam Dehamashritah
प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः
Pranapanasamaयुक्तः
प्राणापानसमायुक्तः
पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधम्.
पचाम्यम् अन्नं चतुर्विधम्.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I am the fire in digestion in the bodies of all living entities, but I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See again, so many scientific things Krishna is mentioning here. Earlier, the planet he mentioned about, he talked about the sun, the moon, and now here he's talking about including our digestion. He's not leaving anything. So important it is, right? If there is no digestion, we'll all be diseased. All the diseases in our life start from the stomach, they say. But when it is properly digested by the Lord, by the help of the Lord, then you see everything is so smoothly done. So here Krishna is saying that I am the fire of the digestion, Vaishvanara Agnihi. It is called Vaishvanara Agnihi. So if you carefully see this whole world where these living entities are there are so many things to nourish these living entities in this material world. The sun is nourishing the living entities. The moon is nourishing the living entities, right? And the vegetables are nourishing the living entities. And not just that, now Krishna is saying the nourishment comes because of the digestion. The digestion also is because of me. So, this body to stay alive, it needs the help and presence of the Lord. So this to keep us alive, Lord has to make so many arrangements. Just see. Yet we don't love him. That is very unfortunate. Infinite number of factors are there outside as well as inside the body that we don't have any control over. There are so many factors that are directly controlled by Lord Krishna alone. That is how powerful Lord is. We have no control our own on our own body. The Vaishvanara Agni, which is the digestive fire, that is not actually the Agni which is digestifying, but the real digestive fire is the Lord Himself. Now, there are, last time also in the session we had discussed, there are pancha prana, right? There are 5 types of air: prana, apana, udana, samana, vyana. These are the 5 types of airs. And there is one air called samana. Samana is the pancha prana. One of the prana is samana. So, samana is the one type of air which actually helps us in digestion of all the food that we eat. Very, very important. Now, the food that we eat is actually cooked twice, and sometimes we can even say thrice. First is called arkapakwa. Arkapakwa means that which is naturally cooked by the sunlight. So anything that is directly cooked by the sunlight, for a small grain, see when a plant is growing, for any crop, for example, rice or wheat or anything, it is not directly that you get the grains. First, it is cooked by what? Arka. Arka means one another name of sun is called Arka. So Arka Pakwa means because of Arka, there is the crops which actually grow and they are cooked in a certain way. You call it as grain. That grain is then bought and then we cook it externally. Means what? We heat it externally so that it is edible for all of us, right? So there is an external heating that happens, external cooking that happens. But when we eat it, there is a second type of cooking that is done inside the stomach. That is the Vaishvanar Agni. There is the outside Agni that actually cooks the food, and there is another type of Agni. It is called Vaishvanar Agni, which cooks the food again. So that external fire is also Krishna. The sun is also Krishna, and the food, which is the fire which is there in the belly, which cooks the food for the second time, is also Krishna. So you tell me, without Krishna, can we live? We cannot live. There is no possibility that we can actually live without Krishna. So much important it is. So all these different types of airs which are there, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, all these different are actually being balanced nicely, properly. And then the digestive fire actually helps us to take care of the digestion. So there is a good reason why we should actually love Krishna, isn't it? We all have good enough reason to actually love Krishna, but we are ignorant. We don't take care of things. So it is also said when we do pranayama properly, we maintain good health, right? Everybody who does pranayama nicely every day, we maintain good health because it helps in digestion. It naturally improves the digestion. So if your digestion is taken care, then 90% of your health is taken care automatically. So problem begins, disease begins from the stomach. So we should take care of the eating properly and take care of this yantra properly. Krishna is saying this can happen when you maintain, keep a balance. But remember, everything is actually supplied by me. Now Krishna is talking what type of food that is digested? Chaturanna. So there are 4 types of food that we eat. Now, only 4 types. How is that only four? There are so many varieties. Prabhu, pani puri, bel puri, sev puri, pani samosa, kachori. So many varieties of foods are there. Why only 4 types of food? There is North Indian, there is South Indian, there is the Gujarati food, there is Rajasthani food, there is Mexican food, Italian food, Spanish food, Russian food. God knows what not. So many varieties are there. Why only Chaturanna? Krishna is saying here. Krishna is saying there is only 4 types of food. Means what? You take any type of recipes or any type of across the world, any food that is there, they actually fall into these 4 categories only. What are this is categorized based on the intake of the food. There are 4 ways in which there is intake of the food, and the very first one is called bhaksham. Bhaksham means that food which is chewed. We eat food, right? We eat chapati, we eat rice, we chew the food. That is called bhaksham. Then there is something called as bhojyam. There is a food that is called bhojyam. That which is swallowed. The food that is swallowed is called bhojyam. Then there is a third type of food. It is called lehyam. In Ayurvedic medicines and all, they use lehya, different types of lehya. Like a paste it is. So lehyam, that means which are to be licked. The food that is licked, that is called lehyam. And then there is a fourth type of food that is called choshyam. Choshyam means that food which is sucked. For example, you see this sugar cane. It is chewed and then we suck the juice out of it, right? So there are foods which are to be chewed, which are to be licked, which are to be swallowed, and then which have to be sucked. So these are the four types of food. Chaturanna, every morning in the Mangalarti also we sing Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Swadhanna Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Kritvaiva Triptim Bhajata Sadaiva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. So the spiritual master is very pleased when he says Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado. Chaturvidha prasada is offered to the Lord, and then when the bhaktas take that prasadam, Chaturvidha prasadam, the spiritual master is very, very, very pleased. Kritvaiva triptim bhajata sadaiva. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. So these are the four types. No, Prabhuji, there are fifth type also. Fifth type of food is there. Now you see, there is for any healthy person, only these four types of intake is possible. The fifth type or sixth type is only for those who are unhealthy people. What is this unhealthy people? How do they take to that intravenous food or through the nasal entry? The food is taken. That is not meant for a healthy person. That is all for unhealthy people. But a healthy person takes food only in this four ways. This is Chatur Anna, very important. So, Bhaksham, Bhojyam, Leyam, Choshyam. So, these are the four ways in which the food is taken. And Krishna is saying that these four types of Anna, food, is digested by Vaishvanara Agnihi. And that Agni is nothing but me. I am that Vaishvanara Agnihi. So see, so beautifully, our life is sustained by Krishna. Very important. Right? So let's go to the next verse. Dave, you can unmute yourself. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो
मत्तस्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च
मत्तस्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो
वेदान्तकृत् वेदवित् एव चाहम्
वेदान्तकृत् वेदविद् एव चाहम्.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Ah, so, very, very important. Krishna is saying, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. So there is one common thing that is there in all of us, and that is Krishna in the heart of each one of us as Paramatma. So there is no doubt. Krishna is saying, I am seated in everyone's heart. And that is why, because Krishna is seated in everyone's heart, we have this culture in our Sanatan Dharma to say Namaste. When we say Namaste, what are we doing? We are actually saying Namaste and bowing down to that Paramatma inside our heart. That's why we join our hands. It is not to the person directly, but it is to the Paramatma within that person. right? That's why we say namaste. We join our palms and we say namaste. Such a glorious culture it is. So when you see that presence of the Lord in everyone, then slowly that enviousness, that greed, that jealousy, that anger, everything reduces. Because when we say namaste, we are actually seeing or actually practicing to see the Lord in others. That is namaste. Ours is not that high by culture. Oh, when people these days, our modern school education has taught us that hi and bye. So this is all not Sanatan culture, it is buffalo culture. You know, when buffaloes are carried on the street, the buffaloes are hi, 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 hi. They keep on saying that hi, hi. This is not our buffalo culture, ours is Sanatan culture. So people in different cultures they shake hands. We don't even shake hands. And how this shake hand has come? Because people in certain regions of the world they were shaking hands because there was no trust. They used to shake hands to show people that, see, I don't have any knife or any weapon in my hands. I'm shaking my hands. See, this is nothing. So, all the shaking hands came from where? From mistrust. It has born out of mistrust and lack of faith in other person. Some people also hug each other. So, that is to say that, see, I have absolutely nothing to harm you. So, all this is coming from where? It's begin from mistrust. Ours is not like that. Our culture is not like that. We are very clear of what we are doing. That is Sanatana culture. So shaking hands or any of these things is not in our uh, culture at all. It is Indian culture is to pay namaste to the Lord inside. Some people also say Ram Ram, Hare Krishna. We are all actually addressing the Lord in the heart of each one of us. That is very important. That's what Krishna is saying here. I am actually seated in everyone's heart, but what am I doing seated in the heart? Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. All that knowledge that you have gained comes from me. Matta smritir, remembrance also comes from me. Jnanam, knowledge comes from me. That buddhi, to discriminate, comes from me. Mattaha. And apohanam cha, forgetfulness also comes from me. Now, some people may ask, Prabhuji, jnana is understood. Remembrance is very good. I understand that also. Knowledge is good. But why forgetfulness? Why forgetfulness is actually a blessing? Why is Krishna giving forgetfulness to each one of us? Actually, forgetfulness also is a blessing in disguise. So many times we have seen people when their near and dear ones dies, that person becomes so miserable thinking of committing suicide, and slowly he thinks that okay, let me finish off my life. But then what happens when he has somebody to a good nurse or a good relative, and over a period of time, slowly, the same very person who was so miserable because of somebody died in his family, the same very person is up and he's kicking to face the world with full of energy and goes on with his life. The memories might be there, the memories will be there. He might feel disturbed sometimes, but he learns how to live in this life. That happens with each one of us. We all actually come over our sorrows and miseries, and this is a very great blessing of Krishna. Very important. That is how Krishna makes us forget. This mechanism is created so that the deep impressions of the mind, although they are there, but the effect of that will slowly, gradually come down so that we can live our life comfortably. Otherwise, it is not possible. So, if you see clearly, in short, what is happening is everything that we say or do is actually provided by Krishna. That Supreme Lord is everywhere and everything actually is coming from Him. This should be ingrained in us. Everything is the mercy of the Lord. That idea should be there very clearly in our mind. Otherwise, we may get puffed up very much. So that is why it is important that we understand how Krishna is helping us in every which way. Correct? So please understand, take this matter very seriously, and we should know that Krishna is helping us in all the possible things. Our life and existence is because of Krishna. So let's go to the next verse. Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself. Let's see how many more we can cover. So, verse number 16. द्वाइमाौ पुरुषौ लोके
द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके
क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च
क्षरश्चाक्षर एव च
सर्वाणि भूतानि
क्षर सर्वाणि भूतानि
कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते.
कूटस्थोऽक्षर ये उच्यते.
Okay, please read the translation.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So Krishna here is now talking about there are two types of people. So one is, see, the way he's a Vedakrit, Vedavid, everything Vedas are created by him, and he's the knower of the Vedas. And he gives us remembrance, memory, forgetfulness, all of that. We belong to him, the material world belongs to him. Everything is, in one sense, actually in control of Krishna. The very first Omkara that we chant is actually representing Krishna. So the Vedas are all saying that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the Supreme. Now, what we have to understand in this verse is Krishna is saying that there are Shara and Akshara. Akshara living entities and Shara living entities. So, Shara means which are living entities who are conditioned. Akshara means those who are unconditioned. So there are fallible conditions. We are all fallible living entities. We all fall into this material world. And we have a natural tendency to actually fall into this material world. If you see, there is a stone kept on the top. So when there is a stone on the hillock, there is a very natural potential into it to fall down, right? But there is something that is holding on. But naturally, if you just leave the stone, it will fall down. Even in the atomic theories that we have heard when we have studied in our science textbooks, that how when an electron is moving around the orbit, when the electron is moving around the orbit of the nucleus inside the atom, it gets excited and goes to the upper orbits when there is energy. But when there is no external energy, automatically the electrons falls down emitting some energy. The atom, the electron falls down to the orbit below emitting some energy. If you have to raise the electron from one orbit to the higher orbit, you need to supply some energy. But to fall down, no energy is required. It will fall down automatically. That is the nature of this material world. You see, the smallest atom also is displaying this kind of a nature. So, without the support of Krishna, we cannot remain higher. We need to remain higher, we need Krishna's support. So, now we are all fallible. Today we follow great tapasya, 16 rounds of chanting. Tomorrow, get up early in the morning, and then we really rise ourselves to the higher consciousness. But then, after a week or so, then automatically, slowly we come down and then come back to the same old habits. So we are fallible. But there are living entities in the spiritual world who are infallible. They are infallible. So those living entities who are there in the spiritual world are Akshara Jivas. We are Shara Jivas. So there is difference. So they are Nitya Siddhas, we are Nitya Baddhas. Nitya Siddhas means they never fall down. Never fall down means what? Not that they fall down from the Vaikuntha planet to this planet, that's why it is called fallen. No. Never fall down means they never forget Krishna. They always remember Krishna. When we fall down is when we forget Krishna. Whenever we forget that Krishna is doing all of this for me, that is when we fall down. Right? So, one is to fall down when we do wrong things. That is one aspect of it. But the real fall down happens when we actually forget Krishna. We do some papa karma, we fall from one level of consciousness to a lower consciousness because papa karma will pull us down. But the real papa is what? Not about any papa that you do in this material world. The greatest papa that we have done is to actually forget Krishna. The very reason that we have fallen down to this material world is that we have forgotten Krishna. That is the real sin, actually. But when we start remembering Krishna and see his presence in every which way, then slowly, gradually, we will rise our consciousness to the next level. That is very important. Getting the point? So there are two types of living entities. Prabhupada is not a Nitya Buddha. He is Akshara Jiva. He is coming from the spiritual world. He is not a part of this world. He comes because he has certain duty to do, certain service to do. He does that and he says that I am going to stay here for the next 10,000 years until all my disciples go back to home, back to God. That is the promise of Prabhupada. So, from the eternal point of time frame, 10,000 years is nothing actually. 10,000 years is very chutku thing, very small thing it is. Right? So, that is what we need to understand that Krishna is saying here. There are two types of living entities who are fallible and one is infallible. Dave, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse, 17th verse. Very important. What Krishna is saying in the 17th verse. Uttama Purushastva Anya
Uttama Purushastva Anya
Paramatmeti Udarataha
Paramatmeti Udaradaha
Yo Lokatrayam Avishya
Yo Lokatrayam Avishya
Vibartyavyaya Ishvaraha.
Vivarcha Avyaya Ishvaraha.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Hare Krishna.
So this is very interesting now. What Krishna is saying, see in the previous verse, he said that there are two types of living entities. There is Shara and Akshara Jivas, right? But then Krishna is saying in this verse, he's saying that beside these two, there is one more person who is Purushottama. That is very bound. Uttama Purushaha. See, so Krishna is very clearly here. Who is that? That he is a Vibharti. There is a person. Who is that person? There is Uttama Purusha, who is not even the uh, Shara or Akshara Jivas, not the matter, but he is Uttama Purusha. He is completely different from that living entities as well as matter. Living entities, whether in this material world or in the spiritual world, there is a person who is above all of them. See, there is matter, then there is soul, which are the Akshara Jivas, fallen souls, and then there are the Kshara souls and Akshara souls, fallible souls, infallible souls. And then there is Uttama Purusha. So there is Uttama Purusha who is above everybody and everything. That Uttama Purusha is there who knows everything. So Hina Mataji, unmute yourself. Let's see who is that Uttama Purusha that Krishna is explaining. This Uttama Purusha who has entered all the three worlds is actually maintaining them, and that Uttama Purusha, Krishna is saying here, Yasmacharam Atitoham
यस्माक्षरम् अतीतोऽहम्
Aksharaadapi Chottamaha
अक्षरादपि चोत्तमः
Tosmi Loke Vede Cha
अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च
Purushottamah.
प्रतीतः पुरुषोत्तमः.
Please read the translation.
Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so beautifully Krishna is saying here. What did he say earlier? There are Shara, Akshara. Right? Then he said, there is a person, somebody who is Uttama Purusha. And who is that Uttama Purusha? There is no doubt Krishna is clearly saying that because I am the transcendental, beyond both fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in this world and the next world. So there is no doubt. See, if anybody is asking us that why you actually say Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna says very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the words Krishna is saying. You should show this verse to them and say, this is what Krishna is saying. Yasmat sharamati makshara rapijottamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratitaha purushottamaha. This chapter is called what? The name of this chapter is Purushottama Yoga. Why it is called Purushottama Yoga? For this very reason, in this verse it is clearly stated. In the previous verse also, Uttama Purusha is explained. In this 18th verse also, Krishna is again saying, Pratitaha Purushottamaha. Who is that? Yasmat Sharam Atito Aham. That Uttama Purusha, that Purushottama is none other than me, who is sitting in your heart, giving you remembrance, giving you knowledge, giving you forgetfulness, digesting your food internally and externally, maintaining the sun and the moon, everything that is being done by that Purushottama, that very Purushottama is in my heart. I am sitting in your heart. See? Krishna is directly present. So, what a close relationship that we have with Him. He is so kind and compassionate that He is following us birth after birth, sitting in our unclean heart. You know, that is how we should see it actually. We have such an unclean heart, but He is so compassionate. He is ready to sit in our heart. When we, call our guest at home, we clean everything and nicely make him sit. But you see what is happening to the Radhi Sannivishtaha, the seat of our heart? It is completely unclean with Mada Matsarya, Kama, Krodha, and so many things. Still, Krishna is not letting us. He is not giving up on us. He is so merciful. We see the heart space is very limited. We can exist, the living entities can exist, or Krishna can exist. Another person we can accommodate. But what is happening now? We are so ignorant that we are giving place not to Krishna in our heart, but we are giving place to our own ego. Instead of the real Krishna, we have created one artificial ego of ourselves and we have replaced Krishna with that artificial statue of our ego in our heart space. And heart space which can accommodate just one Paramatma that we have taken away from him. I'm just talking this as to make you feel that how we are ignoring that Krishna. It's not in the literal sense, but it is for the understanding that we are talking about this heart space. Krishna is really saying he is seated in our heart, he's not giving up on. But unfortunately, that ego is stopping us. Our own ego is stopping us to realize our own true self and Krishna. That Purushottama is being ignored, but he is not ignoring us. If Krishna ignores us, that's it. We cannot eat, we cannot see, we cannot do anything. We are as good as dead. Right? So, until 18th verse, all these things have been explained. So, Dev, you can unmute yourself. In the 19th and in the 20th verse, Krishna is saying finally that what are the benefits of this knowledge? What is the real purpose of this knowledge? That we'll understand in the 19th and 20th verse. So, Dev, you can unmute yourself. So, in the 19th verse, Krishna is saying, let us see what he says. Dev, you're there? You can unmute yourself. Or Hira Mataji also. If you are there, you can.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yo mamevam asammudo
Yo mamevam asammudho
janati purushottamam
janati purushottamam
sarvavid bhajati mam
sa sarvavid bhajati mam
sarvabhavena bharata
sarvabhavena bharata
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
What more is required? Krishna is saying now, please don't have doubt. He's saying, I am the Supreme Lord, and if you can janati purushottamaha, then who is not moodaha, who is not foolish, one who knows me as Purushottama, then what happens? Sarva vid bhajati mam. He will engage in devotional service of whom? Mam. My devotional service and Sarva bhavena bharata. He will know everything by knowing which he need not know anything else. You will know everything. That is how the way to acquire knowledge. See, many people want to become Krishna. Here, Krishna is very clearly saying that you cannot become Krishna, but you can know him by his mercy. By knowing Krishna in his original form as Purushottama, then what happens is our true nature is revealed. Many times on our own endeavor, you do meditation, you do best of the bhajana kriya. It's not going to be possible. If we have to know Krishna, he should let us know. And to know, and that for that to happen, we should engage in sasarva with bhajati mam. We need to engage in devotional service and please Krishna. That is what Krishna is saying. Right? So let us chant the 20th verse also. And that will be the last verse for today and also the last verse of this chapter, Purushottama Yoga. So what Krishna is saying in the 20th verse? He's saying, Iti Guhya Tamam Shastram
इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम्
Idam Muktam Maya Nagaha
इदं युक्तं मया नघः
Etad Buddhva Buddhiman Syad
एतत् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमां स्यात्
Kritakrityascha Bharata.
कृतकृत्यश्च भारत.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Hare Krishna.
So wonderful. See, Krishna is saying this is the most confidential part of the Vedic literature. What is that? To know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. It is not so easy to understand Krishna. But whoever understands, he becomes wise and the endeavors will become perfect. So, iti guhyatama shastram. So, in the very first session of this particular chapter, I explained that why this is called the Shastram. In fact, this is the only verse or only chapter in which Krishna is saying, referring to Bhagavad Gita as Shastram. Shastram means that which explains the nature of the soul, the nature of God, the nature of the material world, karma, time. All these are explained in this particular chapter, and that's why Krishna is saying this is a Shastra. So, what is this Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is a Shastra. It is a Guhya Tama Shastra. It is a Shastra which is actually having a lot of secrets. Why it is secret? Prabhuji, you are giving a session on the internet and so many people are speaking on the internet about this Bhagavad Gita. Why it is called Shastra? Why it is called Guhya Tama Shastra? Why it remains a secret? Yes, many people may actually talk about secret many things about the Bhagavad Gita. It remains a secret. Why it is a secret? Because people are looking for happiness outside, everywhere, but that Sachidananda is within you. That's why it is a secret. See, we are all looking for happiness and we are looking for it outside. But then that very secret of happiness is not outside, it is inside you. And we have completely no idea about it. That's why it is a iti guhyatamam shastram. It is a secret knowledge. So when you know this secret knowledge, oh, happiness is not outside, it is inside of me. Then slowly It will reveal to you many wonderful Anagaha, oh Anaga, sinless one. Oh Arjuna, you are a sinless person. And that's why you are actually qualified to know this knowledge. So, this knowledge, if we have to actually understand and become a part of wonderful, happy life, then we need to actually become sinless. We have to become anaga, just like Arjuna. Very important. Because the more your heart is clear from kama, krodha, madamotsarya, all these things, when they are cleared, then this guhyatama, the secret knowledge, will be revealed to us automatically. So we will not have to become buddhuman, we will become buddhiman. Krishna is saying, Etad buddhva buddhiman syat. Now what we have become? We have become buddhuman. We should not remain buddhuman, we have to become buddhiman. So when we become buddhiman by acquiring this knowledge, kritakrityascha bharata. Oh Bharata, oh Anagha, you see, all your actions will become perfect very, very nicely. Correct? So, if you want to become perfect in everything that you want to do, then this secret knowledge has to be understood. Very, very important. Without this secret knowledge, we will not be able to understand. For that, we need to become and develop a little bit of vairagya. Anaga, sinless one means vairagya should come. Many people say, Swamiji, Prabhuji, does it mean that we all have to become sannyasis? We have to give up everything? No, you don't have to be an external sannyasi to understand this Guhyatama Shastra, the secret of happiness. The secret of happiness is not because of the external dress that we wear. It is the game of consciousness, it is the internal job. Correct? So, external being a sannyasi doesn't really matter to Krishna. You have to understand, as a grahastha also, with my family, with my children, I can still become a sannyasi. How is that? What is my goal? Depending on my goal. Is the goal of my life Krishna, or is the goal of my life is all these material things? That depends. If you have a goal to attain Krishna, then you are as good as a sannyasi. But if a sannyasi wearing a sannyasi dress is actually having all these materialistic desires, then he is no more a sannyasi. Correct? So, we all can become anaga, sinless, by performing some sort of vairagya. And that simple vairagya in Kali Yuga is Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Iva Kevalam, Kalav Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyataha. Just chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then we will attain the perfection. So, now to summarize this whole chapter, in the very first few verses, until the second, third verse, Krishna explained about this samsara vriksha, how the samsara vriksha is not supposed to be nourished, but this samsara vriksha actually needs to be cut off. Right? How do we cut off? Asanga shastrena dridena chetva. Through detachment and knowledge, we cut off this samsara vriksha. And then Krishna further explains that how everything we need to become nirmoha, nirmanaha to understand this knowledge. We have to become free from illusion. We have to become free from ego and pride to understand this knowledge. And then he says that Mamaivamsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. You are actually a part and parcel of me, not just you as supreme part and parcel of the spirit soul, but the sun, the moon, the digestive fire, these planets, everything is actually maintained by me. Right? He also is saying that how within the heart I give you matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I give you remembrance, knowledge, forgetfulness, and everything. And then finally Krishna says he's glorifying a person. He's saying that anybody who understands this Guyyatamam Shastram, he is saying that, oh sinless one, you will become a buddhiman and all your actions will remain perfect. This is how this beautiful Purushottama Yoga chapter is giving us another level of understanding about life. So we need to understand and revisit and hear these sessions, see what we are trying to analyze here, And if you can understand and make notes and visit those points that we have discussed, you will see another level of understanding flowing into you. You will see the new perceptions are being formed about this world. You will feel much better and happy. This is the Purushottama Yoga. So with this, we have come to the end of the 15th chapter. We have three more chapters to go, and this was one of the shortest chapter with just 20 verses. So we have the 16th chapter coming in the next session, a brand new chapter. We will start 16th chapter on next Sunday. It is very, very beautiful again. Krishna is talking about some more very interesting things that we will discuss in the next session, next Sunday. So, all those who have joined on StreamYard and on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Please join us again next Sunday to begin the brand new chapter, chapter number 16. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Prabhuji,
Yes, ma'am. Oh, you have
I
question.
had,
Okay.
I had one question.
Okay.
If you can end the stream here. It's not about this. End
Okay.
your
I will.
YouTube.
Okay. All right.